Hi there. I just wanted to jump on here. I'm Ken Thomson from the Alliance for Democracy and Freedom Party, the ADF Party. I just wanted to jump on and have a bit of a comment on the election victory for George Galloway in Rochdale recently, which was quite a turn of events, quite astounding, and quite a slap in the face for the establishment powers that be in the Uniparty. A lot of people have made comments on what they think about this election victory of George Galloway's, and there's a lot of unrest, I think, in the establishment communities with the Tory party, the Labour Party, obviously being absolutely trounced, and of course the Reform Party, which is supposed to be held up as the protest party, they got humped as well, and of course the independent candidate who came a runner-up with a again beating everybody else. So obviously there's no appetite in Rochdale for the Uniparty, which is obviously, I think, very good news. Reform's protestations are, I think, obviously sour grapes. Farage has been highlighting that the postal vote has probably caused a big percentage of the vote to go in favour of George Galloway, and whether that was all justified and above board is obviously a question. However, I think his protestations, he protested a little too much for my liking. I think he's upset that the Reform Party aren't making the inroads that he thinks they should be at this time, and with a very unpopular government who are certainly not conservative and certainly don't seem to answer to the people. So, to my mind, George Galloway's victory is an excellent thing, that we've got an anti-establishment man in the door into Parliament who can now question all the issues which are arising, such as the Ukraine war, which I believe shouldn't be happening. We should have sought peace there and had an agreement. Unfortunately, Boris Johnson seemed to scupper that particular episode of peace and the negotiations there. They've got the Israel and Palestine situation, where there seems to be genocide committed in Palestine. Obviously, some atrocities against Israelis as well. So it's all kicked off there. But there really should be much more diplomatic effort to stop that, because it could spread into other surrounding countries and cause all sorts of problems. So that's something that needs to be stopped straight away. But there doesn't seem to be the will to do it. We can obviously vote for a ceasefire in Parliament, but we have no bearing on whether that happens or not. But we are able to, with our allies, put pressure to bear diplomatically to make sure that this killing, this genocide, stops, and that there's a solution that moves forward, which is basically peaceful. So that would be the take on that one from my point of view. And also we've got the COVID situation, where George Galloway was certainly not particularly switched on or talking in terms of freedom of bodily autonomy with regard to lockdowns, the freedom of speech there, the injections. He was actually calling out the people who were speaking out against it and doubling down on them, where he was completely wrong. He did actually apologise for that and say he got it wrong. He said he doesn't often get it wrong, but he got it wrong in that instance. And that's certainly what my take would be, that he got that completely wrong, as did many others. But there's something behind all that situation with the COVID narrative driving it. And people who are driving it know what the situation is, that many of these experimental concoctions are lethal to many people, and that's being highlighted all over the world. Now that is a definite area where George Galloway needs to buck up his game a little bit and start to question that what has gone on in all over the COVID period. That is one of the biggest problems that we face, and it needs to be addressed, and it's not being addressed. So all in all, I think George is a good a good thing. I supported him when he was the Alliance for Unity, which was trying to galvanise the Scottish uh, people to vote for anything but the SNP. Vote for Labour if the Labour man had more of a chance to get in. Vote for Tory if the Tory man had a better chance to get in. And I thought that was a good idea to try and get rid of the SNP completely once and for all. But it didn't work. And George Galloway got no seats in the Parliament there. And unfortunately, the SNP managed to win with an astounding victory, and they carried on. And we all knew it was going to be hell to pay for that, and it seems to be, with police investigations going into the SNP at the moment, and hopefully something will come out of that, and there will be a result, and hopefully it'll bring down the SNP government. I'm not saying that the Tories or the Labour are going to be much better, because they've supported much of the SNP legislation, and the SNP legislation has really delivered nothing for Scotland. It's actually taken Scotland backwards, and so I've no faith in those parties either. The Greens, the SNP, the Liberals, the Conservatives, and Labour Party all need to go. They're delivering nothing for Scotland. They work as a team in there. It needs to be. They need support from other parties to get their legislation through, and they get their support. And that's absolutely no good to man or beast. Certainly no good to any Scots person. And they need to be. They need to be thrown out. We would close down Holyrood and concentrate on getting Westminster right. Or we need to clear out the people that are in Holyrood at the moment who elect representatives, and put in people who actually care about Scotland, care about Scotland's services, and care about the health, wealth, and well-being of the people of Scotland, which so far they have really shown no sign of doing. They are very much involved in special interests and top-down diktats from whoever, whether it be higher government or other international supranational bodies. That seems to be the agenda that they dance to, and they're certainly not serving the people of Scotland. So anyway, George Galloway is certainly going to shake things up, I hope. That's going to change. We need a lot more people who are not part of the WEF, not part of the cosy uni-party relationship that all these MPs and MSPs seem to have. And somebody's going to shake things up. It's going to be a good thing. What I would say is there's other parties available that might be a little bit more palatable than George Galloway's Workers' Party. Certainly our party, the Alliance for Democracy and Freedom, or the ADF Party, led by Dr. Tek Kong, is a party of real compassionate people who want to bring the UK back to its former glory and what it could be, without the interference of the international bodies of the WHO and the WEF and other organisations which are causing us problems. Dr. Tek Kong was a GP in Leicester for about 35 years. He worked for the NHS there, and he saw firsthand exactly what the problems are that we have there, which need to be sorted out. He's worked as a police surgeon. He worked in Glasgow early on. I think he studied in Glasgow. And he's a very determined man to try and do something to knock the establishment characters off their perch and get in. And very happy to also, the ADF was set up to work in unity with other political parties. And although we haven't had, we've had a few smaller parties who have joined us. We've also had talks with all the other alternative parties, and with some success. Nobody's rushing to merge with us, but there certainly looks like there may be some agreements coming down the line in time for the election, where we can support each other in individual seats, and so that we can all the parties that are there who are worthy can get their best candidates forward, and hopefully get some really good candidates elected and get them into Parliament, where they can start making a noise, joining the likes of Andrew Bridgen and George Galloway, dare I say, to really make a difference. And I would hope that people would, where we have genuine desire for unity, even though we may have differences in opinion and policy in a lot of areas. But there's a lot of good people there who really do want to make a difference, want to try and break the mould that we have with Parliament, and what seems to be all these characters in Parliament who are basically batting for somebody else. They're not batting for the British people. So I would ask that you look at supporting our party, joining us, and where possible, even standing for election, because it's the only way we're ever going to beat the mould, to beat the system. A lot of people talk about wanting to change the electoral system. Well, that's all very well and good, but the people who are in charge are the people who are in charge of changing the electoral system. They're never going to do it unless they're getting pressure from elsewhere. So we have to beat them on their own ground, at their own game. And that's what we intend to do. So I'd really ask everybody to consider joining us at the ADF Party. It's adfparty.uk is the website. There's a membership application form there. You can get involved. You can become an expert in your area if you've got expertise, and develop policy which is going to suit the British people. And that's what we want to try and achieve. So thanks very much for listening, and I'll see you again sometime. Cheers for now. Bye-bye.